You said recently, Alex, that some tech leaders are calling for an AI pause because they don't have a product ready. How much of AI right now is innovation in theater? What's real and what's hype? What should we be paying attention to?
Well, the big thing that we have to avoid in our country, but is less of a problem for us than in other countries, is there's just an attempt to dampen AI and its utilization by people who don't have a product. And that is like, this is actually a big deal inside and outside of government. Now, luckily for us in this country, it's a much smaller deal than say in Europe, where it's like, there's all these discussions, some of which I very much support and some of which we can power. Where does the data go? How does it used? Where does it flow? What is in the algorithm? Is the algorithm discriminatory? Mm-hmm. But some of it is, you'd say in German, vorgeschoben, which means kind of just put out there as a theatrical thing, because there aren't really that many. There are some companies providing AI in the form of advanced machine learning or large language models. We have a slight bias here at Palantir. We build a software that will allow you to process large language models, rebuild the output of large language models, turn it into what we call an agent, which is a safe algorithm you can run across your enterprise, and we can interact back and forth with large language models or other forms of AI, so that the algorithm of large model understands your enterprise, but you don't outsource the knowledge of your enterprise to the large language model. So I believe that will be the future, and that these things, implemented correctly, large language models and AI are a crazy advantage over people who don't. And you could just take very simple examples on margins in business, efficiency and allocation, resource allocation, rebuilding your enterprise so that you get the most efficient parts at the right time, allocation of assets, resources, figuring out, by the way, one of the most important uses of AI for America that we're just beginning to see, which we're seeing at a company I won't mention just because I haven't, but like manufacturing, often manufacturing has a cultural element. So if you want to manufacture something in America like is manufactured in Japan or Taiwan, that's actually a really hard thing to do. But one of the things algorithms and AI will allow you to do is control the instruments, control production, so that you get an American workforce, the advantages of being in the US, and production exactly like you would have in Japan or in Taiwan or other places. And so that is not theater. That is, and by the way, the part that's definitely not theater is you're going to watch the GDP of America compared to the world.
This is what I also wanted to ask you about, because it does seem to me like it could affect productivity, right, which is the input to GDP. And in America, productivity in things like healthcare, education, even areas, if we disagree on politics, we can both agree those are very important to work better for our country. Like, productivity is stagnated in those areas for decades. Is AI finally going to break in and maybe help productivity there? Are we going to be able to fix some things?
We had no clients in we'll leave education. We're not heavily involved in that. But on healthcare, pharmaceuticals, hospital care, we had basically very few clients last year. And now I think we power allocation at between 13 and 14% of all hospital bed allocation in the country.
Wow.
We have, and it's simply because the people in these industries know that they need instruments to increase efficiency and productivity. Part of the reason why it was hard to do this is the use case they have is very difficult, because you have to increase productivity with low margins under harsh conditions, meaning you can get sued, you do get sued. There are privacy protections that are the most sacrosanct in the world. There are issues around resource allocation that involve class and race, which mean that
I don't want to touch those.
So those are issues. Those are issues that where you need to be able to track what goes into the algorithm, how the algorithm is used, and how that algorithm then leads back to efficiency without getting into hot water, either morally, institutionally, or legally. Palantir is ideal for that.
Yeah.
And so, but again, it's precisely because one of the amazing things in business is no one believes that that Palantir's deep understanding of the technical issues that involve data protection, civil liberties, are things that generated our product. Yes, But if you're dealing with this use case, there's only one engine you can use because we've spent 20 years thinking and building products for this. And interestingly, it's the kind of things you use to identify adversaries with software also presuppose a data protection, civil liberties bias. It's not just find enemy, it's find enemy, is this the stupid general we want to keep alive, or is this the general that's smart